Good morning, Keller Williams. Welcome to Friday. Boy, it seems like a long 2 weeks. I was just saying to Brad here this morning, Brad and I are the only ones in the office, and we've had the heat off for 2 weeks. You can see your breath in here, and the furnace actually went on yesterday because it went below 16 in the office. So I hope that the pipes don't freeze over the next couple of days. So I've had a lot of questions in regards to provincial and federal funding. I don't have a whole lot of new information to give to you other than the fact there is a couple of programs. Brad, you want to go to the next slide? A couple of programs out of there. First of all, the provincial program, there's a $900 grant money, or not grant money, but money that's available to you, self-employed. There's an application. MBRA send a notice out on Wednesday that there's an application. I don't know. When I looked at the process, I didn't think anyone could qualify, but I've heard that the program is very lenient and that there's been over 50,000 New Brunswickers apply for it. So if I were you, as the old saying goes, do it and see what happens. That's all I can say is no to you in regards to the application, either approved or not approved, and see what happens. The federal one that has the 75% for qualifying business up to 3 months, the applications are not out on that one yet. I believe they're coming out at the end of April or May, and that one there would be, you got to be able to show that you had a 30% decrease in revenue month over month. So, and it starts, I believe, near the end of March. So what would happen is that Keller Williams, because of our multi-year trends and because you as an individual have multi-year trends, if you can show and demonstrate that you had a 30% drop in revenue, then you would certainly be able to apply for this particular money. Now, the way they're working that is that every month going forward that you apply, you have to reapply for instance, if you applied for April, then you would have to apply for May, and you would have to apply for June. So the fortunate thing about that is that you have your multi-year trends. You can demonstrate whether or not you actually had a loss of 30% or more, and you'll be able to substantiate it so that the government will be able to fund you in appropriate direction. So in regards to the funding, we're going to stay on top of this, and when we get more information in regards to how this is rolled out, we'll certainly make sure that you get it. Being self-employed is not the easiest time, and I know that all of us, if we can take advantage of this because it's out there, I would suggest that you do just that. So let's go to COVID-19, the case map. So as of yesterday, our total cases is up to 91, 22 recovered, and 69 active cases. And as you can see from the map, where the zones are and where the most people are that are affected by this. I think that the Dr. Russell and our Premier has done a very good job, and also you have to commend you, our agents, and the public, the general public in New Brunswick, that are practicing stay safe, stay home, and social distancing. I think we all have a huge role to play in this, And as a result of that, maybe we'll be able to flatten this curve a lot faster. If you listened to Dr. Russell yesterday, it sort of indicated that the next 2 weeks is going to be very, very critical for our province. So it's always been, let's make sure we're vigilant and make sure we do what we are told to do under the state of emergency. But over the next 2 weeks, it's very, very critical that we absolutely nail this in regards to helping us flatten this curve. So thank you for all you're doing so far. It's a different world, not being able to shake hands and talk face to face. But hopefully this will be over very soon, and we'll get back to some normalcy in life, whatever that normalcy will look like over the next few months. A lot of you have asked, do we have any official forms going forward in regards that we can provide either to a seller, to a buyer agency that wants to show your house, to a buyer themselves that want to get into a house, to a third-party contractor that wants to get in your house, such as an inspector, someone who's doing a water test, and all these kind of things. So I worked with some colleagues around the country, looked at best practices in regards to forms. So I'm just going to introduce these forms and briefly talk about them, but I'm not going to go into any great lengths of detail because they are long. As a matter of fact, when I looked at them after I put them on the slide yesterday, they look like they're COVID-19 on steroids. It might be a little bit of overkill, but I'd rather be more cautious than to leave something out. So what I'm going to implore you to do is that after the presentation, we're going to send these 5 different forms out to you. I would like you to take a look at them, analyze them, and then if there's something in there that really we don't need to leave in there, or there's something that we left out, which I hardly think so, I would like you to maybe just send me a quick email saying that the forms are good, or the forms are too detailed, and here's what I think we should do, and here's what I think we shouldn't do. That way there, come Tuesday on my next call, I should have an approved form for these 5 forms that we're passing out. They may be approved the way they are, or they may look slightly different, or they may look a whole lot different. But I'm asking you, the realtor who uses these every day, to analyze them, look at them, review them, and get back to me. So the first form that we have is a seller consent form. When we're going out there to look at listing a property, I think it's imperative for us to ask the same questions to that seller as we would a buyer or anybody else. So there is the seller consent form, and then there's the listing brokerage consent form. So it goes the registered realtor with Keller Williams Capital Realty representing the seller for the property known as hereby, so that you can sort of denounce that you're not a known carrier. Then there's a cooperating brokerage consent form, so that would be one of our colleagues that are outside of Keller Williams. We want them, if they're coming to ask us to look at our houses or properties, we want them to be able to complete this consent form as well. And if it's a buyer that they're taking, we want them to actually do the buyer, so we know. These forms will be kept either by them or by us when they return them, And that way, if somebody becomes infected, we can go back and say, yeah, that person's been in the house, and then we can notify the seller that, hey, listen, somebody was in your house last week or the week before, and they have contacted the COVID-19 virus. And then the last form here is the third-party provider consent form. That would be actually the consent form that we would use for somebody that we're hiring to go do a water test, a radon test, a home inspection, or somebody is going just to look at a roof or foundation or what have you. So these forms will go out. They're a lot longer than what you see here. I think they're probably 2 pages at least. So they'll go out after the presentation, and if you can take a quick perusal of them, I would really appreciate it, and send all of your comments through to me via email, please. So, technology, we talk about technology a lot. We talk about it all the time because that's who we are. We're a technology company that happen to be in the real estate world. So we're looking at innovating, automating, and dominating, and we are doing a very, very good job at that. We still have 57 agents amongst us that have not booked their appointment with David Whalen. It is imperative at this time where we may have some time on our hands to book that appointment so we can get through that process, so we can start to put individual group sessions together and train at the level of competence that you're at. This is not a fearful meeting. David, I've talked to agents that have gone through this with David. They were very, very comfortable. They were excited about the possibilities of learning some of the new technology that we have. And again, this technology is only there for your benefit. It is not to drive you to where you don't want to go in technology. It's pretty much the basics. And at the end of the day, if you decide that you don't want any of this technology, then we've done our job by providing you with an opportunity to have it. If you choose not to do it and you're running your business just fine the way you are, kudos to you. We're not going to stand in your way, but we always want to make sure that we are a training center committed to training for you so that you can do this business in maybe a little bit different manner, so you can leverage and have some time to spend with your family and loved ones. So I ask you, on behalf of Scott and myself, is that if you would call and book your appointments with David. It's either going to be a 15-minute conversation or an hour conversation, but the quicker we book it and the quicker we get it done, then we can set the wheels in motion to actually do some training. It's probably unfortunate that we're in a situation where there's no face-to-face, because I'm sure that if I could send David to St. John, Moncton, Bathurst, or Fredericton to do this face-to-face, it may be a little more palliative, but unfortunately it's by Zoom or by telephone, and we're going to make the best of the given situation. So on the next slide, this is the new agent support model. At the Tier 2 support, that's Keller Williams International. At the regional support, that's Gilles Plourde. And at the market center approach, as you can see in all these boxes, you have a market center tech director or ambassador. In your case, you have a market center tech director. So if there's any problems in regards to the technology, the contact for you is David Whalen. The tech ambassador contacts us through regional training tech, and that's Gilles Plord. So the way this is going is that if you have a tech question or technical difficulties, you need to send an email or a phone call to David, and David will be able to help you out. Now, I do also want to mention that we've got a couple of people, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but I do want to mention David Sabatos in Moncton and Dylan Mohini as well. Both of them, David in Moncton has been very, very good. He walked us through some training the other day in regards to DocuSign and .loop. Very interested in the technology, and we are very, very happy to have him on board, as well as Dylan, who has a good command of the command language and deals with that very well. So everything should go through to David. David Whalen will assess the situation, help you out, and if there's something that's pending and the person happens to be right in Moncton, he may lean on either David Sabatos or Dylan Mohini to help out in that direction. Now, still the training, command training and resources. The KW Connect, they're still very much active. I believe now they're going from 2 o'clock our time till 6. There's the answers. If you type in here, you can get ask questions and get answers. The daily morning training and team training. That's a Zoom call at 11:30 with Gilles Plord. I'm on that call every morning since it started almost 2 weeks ago, and I'm very, very, very happy to know that I see a number of our own agents very much involved in that 11:30 to 12 Zoom call. Gilles has taken us from the very first of how to enter a contact in command right through to opportunities and looking at referrals, and has gone through pretty much the whole system. By the end of the day today, he should have gone through it all, and then he's going to start the process all over again. So if you're out there and you don't have a whole lot other things to do, follow this Zoom call at 11:30. It'll be very much worth your while. The other thing that I wanted to mention in the afternoon, from 4 to 5, Gilles is back on with a Zoom call, and it's Q&A. And I can tell you that as of the last 2 days, I think there was 12 to 13 people on that call, and 7 or 8 of them were all from New Brunswick. And I am absolutely thrilled to see that, because I see an active interest in where we're going with this and how we're going to come out of this and be able to pivot when this is over. The other thing that I wanted to mention in red, weekly team training. This is new, and this is just for teams. I believe it starts on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. I will make sure that there's a notice goes out for teams. If you're looking at command and you're on a team, this is very, very important to you, because the setup is totally different. So if you are a part of a team, you should take advantage of Gilles' team training starting next week. And then it talks about the weekly technology meetings. Yesterday, they talked about command, update, and tips. They talked about the website, featured listings now on KW.com and Keller Williams Realty Limited. You can search by landmarks, so if you didn't know where you were going, if you picked a landmark in your city, you could go to the landmark and then zoom out and get the properties you're looking for. They talked about the app itself. Over 172 bugs have been fixed and released last week. By the way, we talk about Keller Williams. Quebec listings are now available. This has been the first since we started this whole process. Quebec couldn't get their listings. They finally got their listings. The campaigns, there's a promo going on right now on campaigns on Facebook. If you use Facebook through Command and spend $75 on campaigns, Keller Williams International will credit you for $25 off of Facebook, but you got to use Facebook in Command. Listings, CREA, DDF, and Centris built completely and is in production now, which is a great thing, and they're continuing to improve all of the things in Command to make sure that it works at the highest level for you. In regards to updated leadership calendar, so every week the OPs, the TLs, and the MCAs have a call with our national leadership. So they're going to change it around a little bit starting next week. Is that they're going to have the OP call on Mondays, they're going to have the TL call on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesdays between 2:30 and 3:30, that would be, I believe, Atlantic time. They're going to have an open call for all the agents to ask questions from leadership across the country. I think that they'll be looking at talk about best practices, talk about what's going on in everyone's neck of the woods, and it's an opportunity for you to ask questions of David Barrazo, who is the regional director, and anybody else that may be on that leadership call. So that's an added call for next week, starting next week. So I would say that would be a call worthwhile looking at. So getting extraordinary results is all about creating a domino effect in your life. So the question would be, is that what's your domino effect look like right now? Are you staying safe? I would hope so. Are you staying healthy? I would hope so. Are you practicing what the emergency measures would like us to do by no face-to-face and social distancing? I would hope so. And I also hope that you're working in your business so that when we come through this ordinary time, we'll be able to pivot and be able to move into what I call a delay spring market. Leadership certainly cares about you. We want you to be safe. We want you to be able to be with your family. They just announced, the education minister just announced yesterday that school's done for the year. For some kids, that would be, hey, hooray. For some other kids, that would be a disappointment. And more so for some parents who would love to have school open so the kids can go back. And unfortunately, we're going to have to make the best of the situation. All of our staff are still very gainfully employed. We just finished the month of March. Transmittal took place yesterday. I'll give you an update on Tuesday of where your company is for the month of March. I would say that we're in relatively great shape. This company is very, very fiscally responsible. We know where we're going. We know how we're getting there, and we can assure you that that Scott and I are very vigilant in making sure that we stay vibrant, and we want you to stay vibrant and well as well. And we care about you, and we want you to know that if there is anything that you need and that we can do, we are an email, a phone call, or a text away from getting back to you. We hope you have a great weekend. We hope that you stay safe. And we only can hope and pray that this doesn't get much worse and we turn the corner soon. Have a great day, folks, and it's a pleasure being in business with you.